Lesson 3 STEM learners, this is Sir Peter, your basic calculus teacher. So for today's lesson, we will now move to lesson 3.5 or our fifth lesson, which is the application of integration to life sciences. Are you ready? So for the application of integration to life sciences, we'll talk about the laws of natural growth and decay. So this is somehow related to your general mathematics subject. Do you still remember how do we solve the laws of natural growth and decay using GenMath concepts? This time, we will be using a different way in which we will use the process of integration to solve for the applications of these growth and decay problems. So let's move to the objectives of our topic for today. So our objectives are, number 1, to solve problems involving anti-differentiation, and number 2, solve situational problems involving exponential growth and decay. Let's have first a review. How do we convert logarithmic form to exponential form? So if you are given the logarithm of y to the base e, you can actually rewrite it as a natural logarithm. So it is written as the ln of y. Always remember that if the base is e, then you can rewrite it. Logarithmic form is the logarithm of b, or the logarithm of y to the base b is equal to x. Then its equivalent exponential form is y is equal to bx. Combining these two concepts, so how do we transform 3 is equal to e raised to k into its logarithmic form? Correct. The answer is the logarithm of 3 to the base e is equal to k. And since the base is e, then we can rewrite that one as a natural logarithm. So the final answer becomes an ln of 3 is equal to k. I hope you understand. Next example, let's have x is equal to e raised to 5. So given that example, we can rewrite it as the logarithm of x to the base e is equal to 5. And of course, since the base is e, then we can write that one as a natural logarithm. So the answer is ln of x is equal to 5. Next example, we have z is equal to e squared. So we can rewrite it as the logarithm of z to the base e is equal to 2. And then a logarithm to the base e is actually a natural logarithm. So that's an ln of z is equal to 2. Any question? Let's have the second part of the review. Let us recall how to round off decimals into 5 decimal places. Meaning, we will round them off into the nearest 100 thousandths. So how do we round this number? 0.1654766498. Very good. The answer is 0.16548. See that one? So the preceding number is 6, so therefore we will make it 8, which is the next number. Next, 0.273898561. Correct. The answer is 0.2739. So notice that 8 is the last number, and when you round this off, it becomes 390. So the entire thing becomes 390. Let's have the next example. 0.007582014. Very good. The answer is we retain the entire decimal. So that becomes 0.00758. Last example, 0.293118028. And the answer is 0.29312. Okay, so we rounded up this one because the preceding number is 8. Next, we move now to scientific notations and their equivalent decimal. Press these notations into 5 decimal places. Let's have the first one. 9.399712024 times 10 raised to negative 3. So what we do here is we move 3 decimal places to the left. So that will be a 00. So the answer becomes 0.00940. So how did we arrive at 40? Because there's 9 there. Then what comes after is a 40. Next, negative 3.6218083.129 times 10 raised to negative 4. So we move 4 decimal places to the left so that the answer becomes negative 0.00036. This one. Next, 4.611121631 times 10 raised to negative 5. So we move 5 decimal places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count zeros. You could form. So you know that the answer is 0.0005. And lastly, we have negative 5.17781523 times 10 raised to negative 3. Very good. So the answer is negative 0.00518. So I hope you got all of these reviews that we have given. So we will be using those 3 reviews for us to go now to our topic. Let's proceed to our discussion. So imagine you are behind a microscope in a biology laboratory and you are trying to count the growing number in a petri dish. So you observe that at any point in time, 1/4 of the population is reproduced. So of course, it's a yes when you count the population manually, but it's more interesting if you will compute the population using calculus. So which of these two do you find is your preference in counting the total number of bacteria? Of course, it will be wise if you will compute the population using calculus and not compute the population manually. Try to imagine this one. You may eventually give up on counting because the bacteria are multiplying very fast. So it will be difficult for you to count them. What if they are billions? So how are you going to count all of those? So you will just realize that you're so done counting. So all you need to do is you can use your calculus skills to find the population of bacteria at. So a situation often experienced in some problems of biology and chemistry is one in which the rate of the substance with respect to time is proportional to the amount of substance present at a given time. So this is usually represented by a general class of models called, so in GenMath, we also refer to them as exponential models, okay? So later, we will be applying integration formulas in getting our exponential model. So of course, in such conditions or instances, for example, considering the decomposition or decay of a radioactive substance, or you wanted to know the growth of a bacteria culture under ideal circumstances. So these problems uses exponential models to solve these life sciences. So according to the laws of natural growth and decay, the rate of change of quantities with respect to time is proportional to their size at a given instant. So as time changes, their size also changes. So if they are proportional to those sizes, then we expect the number of bacteria to grow. So if they reach maturity, then they will have cell division. In the same way, if they reach decomposition, so all of the substances will disappear with respect to time. So there is a decomposition with respect to its size. So let's have the derivation of the formula. So first, we need to recall that if y represents the quantity at a given time and t represents the time, we can write it as the derivative of y with respect to time is ky. So this is our origin of the formula. Next, by cross multiplying, so we will move dt onto that side so that it becomes dy is equal to ky dt. But before that, always remember that when we talk of natural growth, your k is always greater than 0. And for the law of natural decay, your k must be between 0 and 1. So the general solution that we could use is this one so that we can compute. So if you're given the derivative of y with respect to time is equal to ky, by cross multiplying, so we will cross multiply that one, you will get the derivative of y is equal to ky dt, and then by dividing, look at that one, so that it becomes variable separable, we need to divide both sides by y so that it will become a dy over y is equal to k dt. Just like that. Then we can now integrate because this is already variable separable. And what is the integral of dy over y? That is an ln of the absolute value of y, right? Then we can use the constant multiple theorem in which the constant will be outside the integral sign. So k integral of dt. So that is how it works. Then we'll have ln of y is equal to the integral of dt is kt plus c. And of course, we don't need y as the solution, but what we need is the logarithm of y to the base e is kt plus c. And this base to the base e can be rewritten as an ln. Or when we make it an exponential, from its ln to its logarithmic form, and from the logarithmic form to its equivalent exponential form, which is y is equal to e raised to kt plus c. So this value is considered now the general solution of the exponential model. But take note that we are to find the particular solution. How do we find that c value? So if you are given y is equal to e raised to kt plus c, you can actually apply laws of exponent. Do you agree that when you add the exponent, it's equal to the product of the factors, right? Of the bases, no? With their exponents. That's the same. So that's product rule. So it means that since we have a plus sign here, then we can separate the base e. So can we rewrite it as y is equal to e raised to c times e raised to kt? Next, we have y is equal to c times e raised to kt. So this e raised to c, as what we've been doing, if you have a 3c, then you can treat that one as c. So if you have a e raised to c, that is still a value of c. So we can actually replace e raised to c as a c value, just c value, and that one. I hope you can follow. Next, we now improve the resulting equation by solving for c. Remember that what we have is a general solution. And our deal here is to find or to determine the value of C. So this can be done if the value of y is given at a particular time t. So suppose that time is 0 hours or 0 days. So whatever element or unit of measure of time we use, for as long as it is 0. So it means that we know that the initial condition will be, instead of y, you'll have y sub 0. So this is the initial condition. So I will be replacing this one as y sub 0. And we're going to do something with e raised to our k, and then our t value is 0. So we substitute that one. So that it becomes like this. It's a y sub 0 is equal to c times e raised to k times 0. And k times 0 is e raised to 0. But remember that e raised to 0 is a number raised to 0. Any number raised to 0 is 1. So we can replace this one as 1. So what is 1 times c? 1 times c is c. So therefore, we can conclude that the initial condition, y sub 0, is now equal to c. And because of that, we can replace this one, this formula, as y is equal to c times e raised to kt, or y is equal to y sub 0 times e raised to kt. This is now the exponential model that will be represented using the particular solution. So the particular solution is this formula. Always remember this one. Either it's a decay or a growth. Y is the amount of the growing or decaying quantity after time t. While y sub 0 is our initial condition of the growing or decaying quantity when t is equal to 0. Your k is the constant that represents the growth rate or the decay rate. And t is our time. So again, remember that formula. This is the only formula that we will be using, and the process that we had a while ago in getting the general solution and up to when we arrive at the particular solution, in which we found out that C is y sub 0 itself, or the initial condition. So when you, for example, observe a Petri dish, so whatever is the count, if you count like 10 mites under a Petri dish, then that will be your y sub 0. So the initial amount of mites inside the Petri dish is 10. Let's have problem sets regarding growth or exponential growth. So in a liquid culture, the number of bacteria doubles every 4 minutes. So if the amount of bacteria present initially is 3,000, so this is very obvious that that is y sub 0. How many bacteria will there be after 22 minutes? So first, let us examine this one. The bacteria doubles every 4 minutes. So if the initial number of bacteria is 3,000, after 4 minutes, or y sub 1, that is 6,000 already. Meaning, it doubles when t sub 1 is 4 minutes. Our t sub 22 based from the given is 22 minutes. T sub 2 is 22 minutes. Our unknown, we need to find k, or the constant. And we also need to find y sub 2 when t sub 2 is equal to 22 minutes. Following the formula of the exponential model, the only model that we use is, always remember this one. This is the only formula that we use. Again, where did this formula came from? It came from the integration process that we have used a while ago, or we have shown a while ago. Substituting the values, we have y is 6,000 is equal to 3,000, well, that's y sub 0, is equal to e raised to k times 4. Okay, 4 is, when does it double? Next, we can rewrite k times 4 as 4k. Next, we divide both sides by 3,000 so that it will be cancelled, and this becomes 2 is equal to e raised to 4k. Next, we solve for k. So we can rewrite this one as the logarithm of 2 to the base e equals 4k. Then how do we get k value? We divide both sides by 4. Isn't it that we can write it as ln of 2, then dividing both sides by 4 will make k is ln of 2 is equal to 4. Using your calculator, you have to encode this one in your calculator, an ln of 2 over 4. Of course, your calculator will give us a very long decimal, but we only need 5 decimal places for k. So for uniformity, again, use 5 decimal places. And we substitute now. Let's solve for what is asked in the problem. We're done with the first one, k. This is the 22 minutes. So the formula is y sub 2 is equal to 3,000 times e raised to k, this is k, times time. And so y sub 2 becomes 1,135,744.07. But remember that this is a discrete data, right? According to Ma'am Cherry, your statistics teacher, when we say discrete, you have to round up that number. So even if you have a 0.07, you still need to round it up because that's considered already 1 bacteria. So rounding up to the next full number would mean that we have approximately 135,775 bacteria. So in conclusion, we say now that there are approximately 135,775 bacteria on the liquid culture after 22 minutes. So you see how amazing calculus is. We don't need to count manually, but we were able to determine how many bacteria will be there in the liquid culture after 22 minutes if it doubles every 4 minutes. Let's have number 2. A certain type of bacteria doubles in number every 3 hours. How many bacteria will there be after 11 hours if at the start there were 200 bacteria? Again, we do not deviate from the process. Let's have the given. Our y sub 0 is 200. Y sub 1 is 400 or double. When you double it, 200, it will become 400. So when t sub 1 is equal to 3 hours. What is t sub 2? So it's given already. It is 11 hours. So we are looking for 2 quantities. First, we are looking for k. Of course, that's the first thing that we need to solve. After finding k, or the constant, we now solve for y sub 2 when t sub 2 is 11 hours. So we wanted to know how many bacteria will be there after 11 hours. Again, the formula does not change. We use the exponential model. Y is equal to the initial value y sub 0 times e raised to kt. Substituting the values, we have y is 400 is equal to 200 times e raised to k3. And k times 3 is 3k, right? I can rewrite that one as 3k. Then we have to isolate k, so by dividing both sides by 200. Okay, so we have to divide by 200. And so 400 divided by 200 will be 2 is equal to e raised to 3k. This one can be rewritten as the logarithm of 2 to the base e is 3k. And this logarithm can be rewritten as what? An ln, right? An ln of 2 is equal to 3k. Then we transform it again so that we could solve for k. Our k is ln of 2 over 3. Using your scientific calculators, give me the equivalent 5 decimal places of ln of 2 over 3. Correct. The answer is 0.023105. Using that k value, we can now solve for y sub 2, which is after 11 hours. Solving for y sub 2, we have y sub 2 is equal to 200 times p raised to 0.23105 times 11, which is our 11 hours. Then y sub 2 is 2,539.87. Of course, the rule is we round up again. So that's approximately 2,540 bacteria after 11 hours. So answer is there are approximately 2,540 bacteria after 11 hours. So I hope you understand. Number 3. A sample contains 250 counts of bacteria, which triples every 4 hours. How many bacteria will there be after 23 hours? And when will be the bacteria population reach 1 billion? So there are 3 things that we need to answer here. First, let us write the given. We have y sub 0 is 250 when t sub 0 is 0 hours. We have y sub 1 is equal to 750. So we triple it from 250 after 4 hours. And then we are also trying to find out y sub 2 when t sub 2 is 23 hours. So, and y sub 3 when the total number of bacteria population already reached 1 billion. So there are a lot of things that we need to answer. First, we need to find k. Second, we need to find y sub 2 when t sub 2 is 23 hours. And we need to find t sub 3 when y sub 3 is 1 billion. Let's have solving for k first. Again, we use the exponential model y is equal to y sub 0 e raised to kt. Using that one, we'll have 750 is equal to 250 times e raised to k times 4. But this k times 4 can be rewritten as 4k. Do you agree? So we can rewrite it as 4k. Next, we divide by 250 both sides. We cancel. And what is 750 divided by 250? So that's 3 is equal to e raised to 4k. Next, we rewrite it as a logarithm. So that's the logarithm of 3 to the base e is 4k. You write it as an ln. So we have the ln of 3 is equal to 4k. Next, we solve for k by dividing both sides by 4. So we'll have k is ln of 3 over 4. So our k is 0.27465. So you have to use a scientific calculator for this one. So let's solve first for y sub 2. Our y sub 2 is 250 times e raised to 0.27465 times 23 because we are solving for when the number of bacteria after 23 hours. Using your calculator, you should get approximately 138,471. So again, the rule is still rounding up because bacteria is considered discrete. Solving for the final answer, so there are approximately 138,471 bacteria after 23 hours. So we have answered the second problem already. Next, we solve for the second question. When will be the bacteria reach 1 billion? So our given is y sub 3. So solving for t sub 3, we have 1 billion is equal to 250 times e raised to k times t. Dividing both sides by 250. So we will get 4 million is equal to e raised to 0.27465t. Then we rewrite it as the logarithm of 4 million to the base e is equal to 0.2746t. And how do we solve this one? We divide both sides by 0.27465. Okay? So cancel. So what will remain is the t value. So to get t, you divide this one using your scientific calculator. So let's have an ln of 4 million over 0.27465. What's the answer? Correct. So that's approximately 55.35 hours. So you see, after 55, almost 55 hours, there will be 1 billion bacteria already. Try to imagine that, how fast growing bacteria are. So I hope you got all the sample problem set 1. Let's proceed now to sample problem set number 2. Of course, these problems will talk about the exponential decay. So suppose that a radioactive isotope has a half-life of 1,700 years. If you start with an initial mass of 100 grams of isotopes in 2023, how much isotope will be left after 2048? To answer that, remember that the half-life of a radioactive substance refers to the amount of time it will take for the quantity to decay to half as much as it was originally. So let's go back with the problem. So given y sub 0 is 100 grams, so after 25 years, it will be half already. That's so we are looking after 1,700 years, it will be 50 grams already. And we are also looking how much substance is still left on the region. Let's solve for k and let's solve for y sub 2 when it is 25 years. So again, the formula does not change. Y is y sub 0 times e raised to kt. And we have 50 is equal to 100 e raised to k times 1,700. So we can rewrite this one as 1,700k. Next, we divide both sides by 100. Cancel. And then we will get 0.5 or 1/2 e raised to 1,700k. Next, we solve for its logarithmic form. So this logarithm of 0.5 to the base e is 1,700k. We divide both sides by 1,700k using the ln of 0.5. So that becomes an ln of 0.5 over 1,700. Next, we use decimal places. So that's 0.00041 negative. Then solving for y, that is 100 times e raised to negative 0.00041 times 25. So that becomes y is equal to 98.98 grams. So after 25 years, the 100 gram will now reduce almost 1 gram, which is 98.98 grams. So there is still 98.98 grams of isotope after 25 years. So try to imagine it will just cut it to half after 1,700 years. So after 25 years, very minimal decomposition has happened with the given radioactive isotope. Now let's proceed now to the next example. The rate of decay of substance R is said to be proportional to the amount of substance R present. It is if the half-life of the substance R is 115 years and there are 250 grams on hand now, how much will be present after 78 years? So for our given, y sub 0 is 250 and y sub 1 will be cut into half, so it becomes 125 after 115 years. T sub 2 is 78. Next, we find for k and y sub 2 after 78 years. Using the same model, we substitute the value. So solving for k, we have 125 is equal to 250 times e raised to k times 115. Notice that it will always be 1/2, right? 0.5. And when we make it a logarithm, it becomes 0.5 and an ln of 0.5 because we are pertaining to a half-life is equal to 115k. Then we divide ln of 0.5 over 115. So you will get 5 decimal places of negative 0.00603. Solving for y, we have y is equal to 250 times negative e raised to negative 0.00603 times 78. And you will get 156.20 grams. Meaning, there's still 156.20 grams of substance R after 78 years on 2101. Okay? So try to imagine that. It still doesn't integrate. No? There's still an amount of 156.2 grams after 78 years. Let's have number 6. The rate of decay of a radium is said to be proportional to the amount of radium present. If the half-life of the radium is 1,690 years, then there are 200 grams on hand now. How much will be present in 847 years? Given? So I'll push through on this presentation. Same model. Okay. So you have to solve for k. Remember that half-life, you will always get 0.5. And you have the logarithm of 0.5 to the base e. And you'll have an ln of 0.5. So in short, you just follow this process. And then k is an ln of 0.5 divided by 1690. And you will get a k value. Substituting it after 845 years. So we'll have 845 times your k value. And then we'll have y is equal to 141.44 grams. For the final answer, there is still 141.44 grams of radium after 845 years. So I hope you learned something from this presentation. Always remember that you simply follow the pattern, okay? The formula is always this formula. And following the process of half-life, you can always get a 0.5. When it doubles, it's a ln of 2. When it triples, it's an ln of 3. So it will depend whether it's a growth or decay. Then you are pertaining to those quantities. So I hope you find this video lesson helpful. This is Sir Peter, your basic calculus teacher. Thank you and goodbye.